In life, one of the most profound shifts we can make is learning to stop seeking external validation. Many of us, often without realizing it, are conditioned to look outside of ourselves for approval, recognition, and worth. This habit begins early. As children, when we are praised for good behavior or achievements, over time it becomes ingrained in our psyche. We begin to rely on the opinions and judgments of others to determine how we feel about ourselves. This cycle of seeking validation from the outside world may seem harmless at first, but over time it can limit our growth, undermine our confidence, and even prevent us from living authentically. The need for external validation stems from a natural human desire to be accepted and liked. We want to feel connected, appreciated, and part of something bigger. Social approval is an integral part of our evolution, helping us survive as a species by encouraging group cohesion and cooperation. But in today's modern world, this desire has often become skewed, where the search for validation becomes excessive and unhealthy. Social media has amplified this problem. Likes, comments, and shares become the modern currency of self-worth, making many of us feel empty when that validation isn't there. Relying on others for validation creates a dangerous cycle. When we let the opinions of others determine our value, we become dependent on external sources to feel good about ourselves. If someone approves of us or praises us, we feel great. If they criticize or ignore us, we feel inadequate. The truth is, as long as you're relying on outside opinions to shape how you feel about yourself, you will never truly feel secure. You will always be at the mercy of other people's judgments, which are often fleeting, inconsistent, and based on their own biases and insecurities. By constantly seeking external validation, we lose touch with our inner selves. We begin to mold our behavior, choices, and even our values to align with what we believe others expect from us. We suppress our true desires, our unique perspectives, and our individuality in favor of pleasing others. This leads to a life of compromise, where we are always chasing approval but never fully at peace with who we are. We become so focused on what others think of us that we forget to ask ourselves, what do I think? What do I want? The problem with this approach is that it puts our happiness in someone else's hands. When our self-worth is tied to external validation, we become vulnerable to every opinion, every criticism, and every rejection. We give other people the power to control our emotions, and that's a fragile way to live. You will never be able to please everyone, and you shouldn't try. People's opinions are shaped by their own experiences, biases, and limited perspectives. To base your self-worth on such a shaky foundation is to live a life that is out of your control. Real freedom comes when you stop seeking external validation and begin to trust yourself. This means developing a strong internal compass, knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what truly matters to you. It means believing in yourself regardless of whether others approve or not. When you cultivate self-validation, you stop needing others to tell you that you're good enough, worthy, or successful. You already know it because you feel it within yourself. Learning to stop seeking validation from others requires self-awareness and practice. Start by paying attention to when and why you seek approval. Notice the situations where you're looking for someone to validate your choices, ideas, or feelings. Ask yourself, am I doing this because it feels right to me? Or because I want someone else to approve of it? By regularly questioning your motives, you'll begin to break free from the need for external approval. Building self-validation also means accepting that not everyone will like you or agree with you. And that's okay. You are not here to live up to other people's expectations, and they're not here to live up to yours. What matters is that you are living in alignment with your own values and purpose. When you are confident in who you are, the need for constant external approval diminishes. You realize that your worth doesn't depend on anyone else's opinion, but on how true you are to yourself. Ultimately, the journey of moving away from external validation is about reclaiming your power. It's about standing tall in your truth and not allowing other people's opinions to dictate your happiness, choices, or self-worth. By letting go of the need for external approval, you open yourself up to living a more authentic, empowered, and fulfilling life, one that is driven by your inner strength and self-belief, not by the judgments or praise of others. Life is full of challenges, obstacles, and setbacks. No matter who you are, where you come from, or how much success you achieve, you will face problems. It's an unavoidable truth. Problems are a part of the human experience, and they come in all forms: personal struggles, financial difficulties, health issues, relationship conflicts, and more. But while problems are inevitable, there is one thing that is within your control: how you respond to them. This is where the distinction between problems and suffering becomes critical. Suffering is not an inevitable consequence of problems. Suffering is a choice. Many people mistakenly believe that encountering problems automatically leads to suffering, but this is not the case. The reality is, problems do not create suffering, our perception and response to them do. How we interpret and react to the problems we face can determine whether we feel overwhelmed, victimized, and powerless, or whether we feel resilient, determined, and in control. The difference between suffering and growth lies in the mindset we bring to our challenges. Suffering occurs when we resist what is happening to us, when we feel that life is unfair or that we are somehow being punished by our problems. We often allow ourselves to become stuck in a loop of negative thinking, asking, "Why me?" Or "Why is this happening to me?" And this only amplifies our pain. We focus on the unfairness of the situation, feel powerless to change it, and sink into a state of emotional distress. But this response, while common, is a choice. It's a choice to dwell in a state of resistance and helplessness instead of accepting the situation for what it is and looking for ways to move forward. The truth is, problems are neutral. They don't have inherent meaning beyond what we give them. When something goes wrong in your life, it's not the universe conspiring against you, it's just a part of the natural ebb and flow of existence. What makes a problem seem unbearable or overwhelming is the story we tell ourselves about it. If we see a problem as insurmountable or view ourselves as victims, we create suffering. On the other hand, if we see problems as opportunities for growth or as challenges that can be overcome, we avoid suffering and instead build strength. One of the most empowering realizations we can have is that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we interpret it and what we do about it. This is where choice comes into play. When a problem arises, you have two options. You can either focus on the problem and let it dominate your thoughts, emotions, and actions, or you can focus on finding a solution and learning from the experience. The first option leads to suffering because it leaves you feeling powerless, stuck in a cycle of frustration and despair. The second option leads to growth and resilience because it shifts your mindset from being reactive to being proactive. Choosing not to suffer doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing your emotions. It's natural to feel upset, frustrated, or disappointed when faced with a difficult situation. But choosing not to suffer means not allowing those emotions to take over your entire mindset and dictate your actions. It means acknowledging the emotions, processing them, and then deciding how to move forward constructively. This shift in mindset requires practice and self-awareness. It means training yourself to recognize when you're slipping into a victim mentality and consciously deciding to change your perspective. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you can ask, "What can I learn from this?" or "How can I use this challenge to become stronger?" This simple change in language reflects a profound shift in attitude, one that empowers you to take control of your life, even when things aren't going your way. When you choose not to suffer, you embrace the fact that problems are part of life, but they don't have to define your life. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is at the mercy of circumstances and start seeing yourself as someone who has the power to rise above them. You understand that while you can't prevent every problem, you can choose to approach each one with resilience, determination, and an unwavering belief in your ability to overcome. Ultimately, the key to avoiding suffering is accepting that problems are inevitable and that your response is what truly matters. By shifting your focus from the problem itself to how you can grow from it, you transform challenges into opportunities for personal development. You stop seeing problems as roadblocks and start seeing them as stepping stones toward a stronger, wiser, and more resilient version of yourself. This mindset is what allows you to move through life with less suffering and more fulfillment, no matter what challenges come your way. Talking about your problems can seem like a natural and even necessary thing to do. We often believe that by sharing our struggles with others, we can relieve some of the stress, get helpful advice, or simply feel supported. While there's value in reaching out for support, constantly talking about your problems can actually do more harm than good. Instead of moving you forward, it can keep you stuck, prolonging your suffering and preventing you from taking the steps necessary to solve the issue. The more you focus on your problems through constant discussion, the more power they have over your life. When we talk about our problems repeatedly, we reinforce them in our minds. Our brain tends to latch onto what we focus on, and when we dwell on our difficulties, we make them seem larger and more significant than they are. Every time we rehash the same problem, we relive the emotions associated with it: frustration, anger, sadness, and this emotional cycle keeps us locked in place. It becomes harder to see the problem objectively and even harder to imagine a solution. Instead of creating space for resolution, we reinforce a state of powerlessness. Moreover, discussing problems too much can create a sense of identity around them. We start to define ourselves by our issues. We tell stories about what's wrong in our lives so often that we start to believe those stories are who we are. I'm someone who can never catch a break, or I'm always struggling with my health, or I'm just unlucky in relationships. These narratives become self-fulfilling prophecies. When we identify ourselves through the lens of our problems, it becomes increasingly difficult to see the possibility of change. Instead of being empowered to take action, we remain passive, as if life is happening to us and we have no control. This constant focus on problems can also drain your energy. Every time you talk about what's wrong, you're spending mental and emotional energy on the problem. Over time, this leaves you feeling exhausted and stuck in a negative cycle. Energy that could be used to brainstorm solutions, take proactive steps, or work on personal growth is instead spent on feeding the problem. In this way, talking about the issue keeps it alive. The more we give our attention to something, the more it grows. If all we talk about are our struggles, those struggles will continue to dominate our mental space, making it harder to move forward. Another aspect to consider is how constantly talking about problems affects the people around you. While it's important to have a support system, continually sharing your problems with others can strain relationships. No one enjoys being around someone who is always negative or always complaining. Over time, people may begin to distance themselves, not because they don't care, but because they feel drained by the constant negativity. This can lead to feelings of isolation, which further compounds the problem. What started as a means to seek support can end up pushing people away, leaving you feeling even more stuck and alone. There's also the risk of becoming addicted to sympathy or validation. When we talk about our problems, especially in a way that elicits sympathy, it can feel good in the short term. People comfort us, reassure us, and make us feel like we're not alone. However, this comfort can become a crutch. Instead of seeking solutions, we seek more sympathy. It becomes easier to talk about the problem than to face the discomfort of change or the hard work required to fix it. We get stuck in a cycle where we need more validation and comfort, but the problem never actually gets solved. So how can we break free from this cycle? The first step is awareness. Recognize when you're falling into the habit of talking about your problems without working toward a solution. Pay attention to how often you bring up the same issue and how it makes you feel afterward. Are you feeling empowered or drained? Does the conversation lead to action, or does it leave you feeling stuck? Simply becoming aware of these patterns can help you make a conscious decision to stop feeding the problem and start looking for ways to overcome it. Instead of talking about your problems, focus on finding solutions. When you catch yourself discussing a problem, shift the conversation. Ask yourself, what can I do about this, or what steps can I take to improve the situation? This shift in focus from the problem to the solution can radically change your mindset. It empowers you to take control of your life and your circumstances rather than feeling like a victim of them. You stop being someone who is stuck and start being someone who is taking action. Another strategy is to limit the time you spend discussing problems. Set a time limit for how long you'll allow yourself to talk about an issue, and once that time is up, switch gears and focus on what you can do to change it. This helps prevent you from getting caught in the cycle of endless complaining and keeps you moving forward. It's also important to seek out positive reinforcement and surround yourself with people who encourage action. Rather than turning to those who will simply validate your feelings, seek out those who will challenge you to find solutions and hold you accountable. Positive, action-oriented conversations will help you break free from the negativity and move toward growth and progress. Ultimately, talking about problems keeps you stuck because it traps you in a cycle of negativity and passivity. The more you discuss what's wrong, the more you reinforce it in your mind and in your life. Breaking this habit requires a conscious effort to shift your focus towards solutions and take action. When you do, you'll find that your problems no longer have the power to hold you back, and you can move forward with confidence and clarity. One of the most powerful shifts you can make in life is to reframe problems as opportunities. Problems are often seen as obstacles, unwelcome disruptions that cause stress, frustration, and worry. When faced with a problem, many people instinctively react with negativity, viewing it as something to avoid or quickly overcome. However, adopting this mindset limits growth. The truth is that every problem carries within it the potential for personal development, learning, and progress. By shifting your perspective and seeing problems as opportunities, you can transform challenges into catalysts for growth and success. The first step in reframing problems is recognizing that challenges are an inevitable part of life. No one is immune to difficulties, setbacks, or struggles. However, what separates those who thrive from those who remain stuck is how they choose to view and respond to these challenges. Instead of seeing a problem as a roadblock, successful people view it as a chance to learn something new or develop a skill they didn't previously have. Every time you encounter a problem, you're being presented with an opportunity to stretch your capacity, to think creatively, and to build resilience. This change in mindset requires you to ask different questions when a problem arises. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, or how can I get rid of this problem, quickly shift to more constructive questions such as, what can I learn from this? Or how can this situation help me grow? These questions open up new possibilities and transform the way you approach the issue. Instead of feeling stuck or defeated, you start to see the problem as something that could potentially benefit you in the long run. Viewing problems as opportunities also helps you shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. In a fixed mindset, you may believe that your abilities are set in stone and that problems are indicators of failure or inadequacy. But with a growth mindset, you understand that challenges are an essential part of the learning process. Problems are not a sign that you're not capable, they're an invitation to develop new skills, to refine your approach, and to grow as a person. When you adopt this mindset, problems become a normal and even welcome part of the journey, because you understand that they are the path to improvement. Reframing problems as opportunities also helps you tap into creativity. When faced with a challenge, you're forced to think outside the box, to come up with solutions that you might not have considered otherwise. Problems push you to innovate, to try new approaches, and to find better ways of doing things. Often, the most significant breakthroughs, whether in business, personal development, or relationships, come from the need to solve a pressing problem. Without challenges, we might never explore our full potential or discover what we're truly capable of. Furthermore, problems are opportunities for resilience. Each time you face and overcome a challenge, you build emotional and mental strength. You learn that you are capable of handling adversity and that you can navigate difficulties with grace and determination. This resilience doesn't just help with the current problem, it builds your confidence for future challenges as well. Over time, you start to approach problems with a sense of empowerment rather than fear, knowing that every problem you face is another chance to grow stronger and more capable. Problems also provide opportunities for self-reflection and reevaluation. Sometimes a problem arises because something in your life needs to change. Perhaps you're in a situation that no longer serves you, or maybe your current approach isn't working as well as it could. Problems can act as signals, prompting you to take a step back and assess whether you're on the right path. They encourage you to reconsider your goals, adjust your strategies, and make necessary changes that ultimately lead to better outcomes. In essence, when you reframe problems as opportunities, you take control of the narrative. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance, you see yourself as an active participant in your own growth and success. You begin to trust that every challenge has a purpose, and that with the right mindset, you can turn even the most difficult situations into stepping stones toward a better future. This shift doesn't mean that problems will suddenly become easy or that you won't feel frustration or discomfort when they arise. But by viewing them through a lens of opportunity, you can approach them with a sense of curiosity and optimism. You become less focused on the difficulty of the problem itself and more focused on what it can teach you, how it can help you grow, and what doors it might open. Ultimately, the way you perceive problems has a profound impact on your life. By choosing to see challenges as opportunities, you unlock the potential for continuous learning, growth, and transformation. Problems become not something to fear, but something to embrace as a natural and necessary part of a fulfilling and successful life. Taking action is the key to success, growth, and change. Yet so many of us fall into the trap of making excuses, telling ourselves why we can't do something or why the timing isn't right. Excuses are easy, they provide temporary comfort and justification for inaction. But they also keep us stagnant, preventing us from achieving our goals, improving our lives, or realizing our full potential. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck often boils down to one thing: action. Action moves us forward, while excuses keep us trapped in the same place. Excuses come in many forms. Sometimes they're about external circumstances. I don't have enough time, I don't have enough resources, or I don't have the right connections. Other times, they're internal. I'm not talented enough, I'll fail if I try, or I'm just not ready yet. While these excuses may feel valid in the moment, they are ultimately limiting beliefs that prevent us from even attempting to take steps toward our goals. The truth is, there will never be a perfect time to act. Waiting for ideal circumstances is just another form of procrastination. Success isn't about having everything perfectly lined up. It's about making progress with what you have, where you are right now. One of the reasons people make excuses is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, and fear of the unknown can all paralyze us, making inaction seem like the safer choice. However, avoiding action because of fear only intensifies that fear over time. When we allow fear to dictate our decisions, we give it power over our lives. On the other hand, taking action, even small steps, builds momentum and diminishes the hold that fear has on us. Every step forward, no matter how small, breaks the cycle of fear and builds confidence. Inaction reinforces fear, but action diminishes it. Another common excuse is the pursuit of perfection. Many people convince themselves that they can't take action until everything is perfect, their plan, their skills, or their circumstances. But perfection is an illusion. Waiting for perfection often leads to endless delays and ultimately no action at all. Successful people understand that action doesn't require perfection, it requires a willingness to learn, adapt, and improve along the way. Progress is more important than perfection. By taking imperfect action, you allow yourself the opportunity to grow and refine your approach over time. Action creates results, and results provide valuable feedback that can be used to adjust and improve. Excuses also rob us of responsibility. When we make excuses, we shift the blame for our inaction onto external factors, our circumstances, our environment, or other people. This mindset gives away our power and leaves us feeling helpless. But when you embrace action, you reclaim that power. You take responsibility for your choices, your progress, and your success. Taking action means acknowledging that while you may not control everything in your life, you do control how you respond to challenges. You have the power to make decisions and take steps that move you closer to your goals. This shift in mindset transforms you from a passive observer of your life to an active participant, capable of shaping your own future. Action is also the antidote to overthinking. Many of us get stuck in analysis paralysis, where we spend so much time thinking about what we want to do, researching, planning, and worrying about potential outcomes that we never actually take the first step. Overthinking keeps us in a loop of indecision. And the longer we stay in that loop, the harder it becomes to break free. Taking action, even imperfect action, cuts through the noise of overthinking. It propels you forward and provides real-world feedback that thinking alone can't offer. You learn more by doing than by endlessly planning. Excuses, on the other hand, are a form of self-sabotage. They provide temporary relief by giving us a reason not to act, but in the long run, they lead to regret. Every day spent making excuses is a day lost a day where you could have made progress, learned something new, or moved closer to your goals. The more we delay action, the more we reinforce the habit of inaction, and the harder it becomes to break free from that cycle. The most successful and fulfilled people are not those who have the best circumstances or the most talent. They are the ones who take action consistently, even when they don't feel ready, even when they're scared, and even when they're scared, and even when things aren't perfect. They understand that action is the only way to create change, and that excuses are just barriers to the life they want to live. In the end, action speaks louder than words or intentions. It's not about what you say you're going to do, but what you actually do that matters. By choosing action over excuses, you step into your power, take control of your life, and start creating the results you desire. You begin to realize that every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goals and opens new doors of opportunity. It's through action that dreams become reality and potential is realized. When faced with challenges, many people instinctively focus on the problem itself, dwelling on what went wrong, why it happened, and how unfair or frustrating the situation feels. While it's natural to acknowledge difficulties, constantly fixating on problems leads to a negative cycle of stress, worry, and inaction. Shifting focus away from the problem and toward finding solutions is a crucial mindset change that can open up opportunities, empower decision-making, and create forward momentum. Focusing on solutions rather than problems is the key to progress and resilience in any difficult situation. The first reason why focusing on solutions is so important is because it changes your perspective. When you focus solely on the problem, it grows larger in your mind, consuming your thoughts and making it seem overwhelming. The more you concentrate on the issue, the more powerless you feel to overcome it. This mindset can trap you in a cycle of negativity and inaction. However, when you shift your attention to potential solutions, you immediately move from a reactive to a proactive state. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstances, you start thinking about what steps you can take to improve the situation. This shift in focus helps you regain a sense of control, turning a seemingly insurmountable challenge into a series of manageable tasks. Focusing on solutions also encourages creativity and innovation. Every problem, no matter how difficult, has some form of a solution, even if it's not immediately obvious. By looking for solutions, you open your mind to new ideas, strategies, and possibilities. When you approach a challenge with a solution-oriented mindset, you're more likely to think outside the box and come up with creative approaches that you wouldn't have considered if you were stuck obsessing over the problem. This mindset fosters adaptability and growth, helping you to view challenges as opportunities for learning and improvement rather than roadblocks. Another benefit of focusing on solutions is that it reduces stress and anxiety. When you dwell on problems, you often experience a sense of helplessness, which can lead to heightened stress. This stress makes it harder to think clearly, make decisions, or take action, further entrenching you in the problem. On the other hand, focusing on solutions calms the mind because it shifts your energy toward action. Taking even small steps toward resolving an issue can alleviate anxiety by giving you a sense of progress and purpose. You start to see that while the problem exists, it doesn't have to define or control your experience. Additionally, focusing on solutions helps build resilience. Life will always present challenges, but those who thrive are the ones who learn to see problems as temporary obstacles rather than permanent setbacks. A solution-focused mindset teaches you to bounce back quickly from difficulties because you develop the habit of looking for ways forward, no matter how tough the situation may seem. Each time you overcome a challenge by focusing on solutions, you build confidence in your ability to handle future difficulties. You become more resilient because you know that no matter what comes your way, you have the tools and mindset to navigate it. Moreover, a focus on solutions promotes personal accountability and empowerment. When you concentrate on problems, it's easy to fall into the trap of blaming external factors, other people, circumstances, or bad luck. This mindset relinquishes control and leaves you feeling powerless to change the situation. However, when you focus on solutions, you take responsibility for finding a way forward. You stop waiting for external factors to improve and instead take action to improve the situation yourself. This sense of ownership is empowering and encourages you to be proactive in all areas of life, not just when facing challenges. Finally, focusing on solutions fosters a more positive and productive environment. Whether in personal relationships, professional settings, or team dynamics, a focus on solutions creates a culture of problem solving and forward thinking. Instead of getting bogged down in complaints or blame, solution-oriented individuals inspire those around them to look for ways to improve and innovate. This positivity spreads, leading to more constructive conversations, better collaboration, and ultimately greater success in achieving shared goals. In conclusion, while acknowledging problems is necessary, dwelling on them keeps you stuck in a state of frustration and helplessness. By shifting your focus to finding solutions, you empower yourself to take action, foster creativity, reduce stress, and build resilience. Solutions-focused thinking transforms challenges into opportunities for growth, encourages personal accountability, and creates a positive, proactive mindset that can lead to greater success in all aspects of life.